I learned two things the night my marriage ended. First, walls can be thin enough that you can hear everything, but thick enough that your brain can still talk you out of believing it. Second, when someone is guilty, they don't always beg for forgiveness. Sometimes they ask you to apologize. My best friend slept with my husband while I was in the next room. I found her necklace in our bed, and then my husband asked me to say I was sorry. Let me back up, because if you told me a year ago I would be writing this, I would have laughed. I was the person he used to say, not my husband, not my best friend. They would never. I'm 31F. My husband Mark is 33N. We've been together 9 years, married for 5. We have a small house, a rescue dog named Pippin, and a life that, until recently, felt solid. Not perfect, but solid. My best friend, Jenna 32F, has been in my life since college. She's the kind of friend you call when you're stranded on the highway, when your dad goes to the hospital, when you're trying to pick paint colors and you've stared at warm ivory for 40 minutes and it all looks beige. She was in my wedding. She helped me assemble IKEA furniture. She knew every version of me, and she knew Mark. For years, I loved the way they got along. I thought it was the best case scenario, the two people I loved most in the world, enjoying each other's company. I didn't have to split my time or juggle awkward group plans. We could all have dinner, watch dumb reality TV, and argue about which fast food fries were superior. If you're already cringing, I get it. I'm cringing too. The changes were subtle at first. Jenna started coming over more, not once a week, more like Tuesday night for leftovers, Thursday night for wine, Sunday afternoon because she was in the neighborhood more. She'd text Mert directly about things she used to text me about. Is OP home? What time are you guys eating? Can I swing by? I didn't love it, but I didn't want to be weird about it. And Mark didn't hide it. He'd show me his phone like it was nothing, laugh about her memes, complain that she was blowing up his notifications. So my brain filed it under normal friend stuff. Then my job got busy. I'm a project manager for a medical device company, and the last quarter of the year is always chaos. I was staying late, answering emails in bed, juggling deadlines. Mark was supportive on the surface, but I could feel him getting annoyed about the extra weight at home. Meanwhile, Jenna had just ended a long relationship. She was newly single and loudly so new hair, new outfits, I'm rediscovering myself, the whole thing. I remember one night she came over in this red dress that was not casual movie night attire. She did a little twirl in my kitchen and said, "Do I look like I could ruin someone's life?" I laughed. Mark laughed, and she held his gaze just a beat too long. I noticed it. But again, my brain did what brains do when the alternative is too ugly. It explained it away. She's feeling herself. She's flirting with everyone. Mark is just being polite. The night it happened was a Friday in early November. We planned to have a little reset night, pizza, wine, a board game, no work talk. Jenna invited herself along, which should have been my first no, but I was exhausted and honestly wanted the distraction. We drank more than we should have, not blackout drunk, but loose. Jenna was in a giddy mood, sitting too close on the couch, touching Mark's arm when she laughed. Mark looked energized, like he'd been thirsty for attention and she was pouring it right into him. Around midnight, I got up to take Pippin outside. Our house is small, living room, kitchen, hallway, bedroom. The back door is off the kitchen. I let the dog out, pulled my sweater tighter, and stood there in the cold for maybe 2 minutes. When I came back in, they were still in the living room. The game was abandoned. Jenna was perched on the edge of the couch with her legs tucked under her. Mark leaned back with his arm along the back cushion. It looked normal. I told myself it looked normal. Jenna announced she was too tired to drive home. I said she could take the guest room. Mark offered her water. I brushed my teeth and went to bed. This is the part where people ask, were you suspicious? Yes, but suspicion doesn't always come as a siren. Sometimes it's a little itch under your skin that you keep scratching until it bleeds. I lay in bed scrolling my phone while Mark cleaned up the living room. That's what he said. He was being so helpful. After about 10 minutes, I got up to grab my charger from the hallway. Our bedroom door was cracked, and from where I stood, I could hear voices. Quiet. The living room is directly across from our bedroom. If you whisper in one, it carries. I heard Jenna laugh. Then Mark said something low. I couldn't make out. Then Jenna's voice again, more breathy this time. And then I heard my own name. She's asleep, Jenna whispered. There was a pause. I froze with my charger in my hand. My heart did that stupid thing where it tries to climb into your throat. I should have walked out and confronted them. I should have turned on the lights. Instead, I stepped back into the bedroom and sat down on the edge of the bed like I'd been caught doing something wrong. I told myself I misheard. I told myself Jenna was joking about something. I told myself Mark was probably telling her to go to bed. Then, through the thin wall, I heard the couch creak. Not the normal someone shifted creak. The repeated rhythmic creak. I sat there for what felt like a lifetime, staring at the dresser mirror like it might show me the truth without me having to go look. The sound stopped. There was more whispering. Then footsteps. Mark came into the bedroom minutes later, smelling like wine and peppermint gum. He slid into bed and kissed my shoulder. You okay? He asked. I looked at him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, yeah, just tired. He fell asleep almost immediately. I didn't. At some point around 2 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. The guest room door was closed. Everything was quiet. The house felt like it was holding its breath. In the morning, Jenna acted completely normal. She came into the kitchen wearing one of Mark's hoodies. I remember the exact hoodie, gray with the college logo. It was his favorite. I stared at it like it was a crime scene. Oh, sorry, she said, tugging the sleeves down. I got cold and Mark said I could borrow it. Mark was making coffee, his back to us. Yeah, he said casually. She was freezing. I waited for Jenna to say she'd slept in the guest room. She didn't. I waited for Mark to say he'd fallen asleep on the couch. He didn't. They just moved around each other like everything was perfectly fine. I spent the whole day feeling like I was underwater. And here's the thing, I had no proof. I had a sound. I had a gut feeling. I had a hoodie. So I did what a lot of people do when they don't want to be that paranoid wife. I pushed it down. For 2 weeks. 2 weeks of Jenna texting her group chat memes like nothing happened. 2 weeks of Mark being extra affectionate, extra helpful, extra, look at me, I'm such a good husband. 2 weeks of me flinching whenever I heard a couch creak. Then I found the necklace. It was a Tuesday. I was stripping the bed to wash the sheets because I'd been sweating at night. Stress does that to you. I lifted the fitted sheet and there it was, tangled in the corner by Mark's side, Jenna's necklace. It was distinctive, a thin gold chain with a little crescent moon charm. She wore it every day. I'd helped her pick it out at a boutique on a girls' trip and she'd joked it was her hot girl talisman. I stood there holding it like it was radioactive. My hands started shaking so badly I had to sit down on the bed. Mark came home from work an hour later. I didn't greet him, I didn't kiss him. I just held out the necklace. Explain, I said. He stopped in the doorway, eyes flicking to the charm, the smallest hesitation, like a computer buffering. Then his face snapped into something that looked like confusion. What is that? He asked. I stared at him. Don't, I said. He walked closer, took it from my hand, examined it like he was seeing it for the first time. Is this Jenna's? He asked. Yes. He frowned. Why is it in our bed? And the audacity, truly, the acting almost worked. Almost. Because part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me wanted an explanation that didn't set my life on fire. You tell me, I said. Mark's shoulders went stiff. Maybe she dropped it when she was here. In our bed. She's been in our room, he said quickly. She's come in to see her clothes or when she borrowed that jacket. That was your hoodie, I cut in. He blinked. Whatever. Maybe it fell out of her bag. Maybe it got stuck to a blanket. I don't know. I waited. He didn't say the obvious thing. He didn't say, I would never. He didn't say, I didn't do anything. He stayed vague, slippery. My voice came out quieter than I intended. Did you sleep with her? His eyes widened like I'd flapped him. What? No, Mark! No, he said again louder. That's insane. I felt my face burn. I heard you. He paused. Heard me what? I swallowed. That night, when she stayed over? I heard sounds. I heard her say I was asleep. Mark's expression shifted. Not guilt, not shame, annoyance. So that's what this is, he said. You were eavesdropping. I stared. Are you kidding me? He threw his hands up. Jenna was upset. We were talking. She was crying about her breakup, and you're making it into some porn scenario in your head. Then why is her necklace in my bed? He looked at it again, then sighed dramatically. You know what? He said. This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you. Tell me what? He pinched the bridge of his nose like I was exhausting him. Jenna, she was having a hard night. She said you've been distant. She said she feels like you don't like her anymore. I was trying to calm her down. My stomach dropped. So you were discussing me behind my back? I was trying to help, he said. I shook my head. You're not answering the question. Mark's jaw tightened. No, I didn't sleep with her, but you accusing her is really messed up. There it was. He didn't say it was messed up to accuse him. He said it was messed up to accuse her. I'm accusing you, I said. You're making her into some homewrecker, he snapped. She's your best friend. And you're my husband. He took a breath like he was counting to 10. Okay, fine. You want honesty? Jenna was drunk. She was emotional. She came into our room at some point to talk to you, but you were asleep. She sat on the bed for a second. Maybe it fell then. I stared at him, waiting for the part where that made sense. It didn't. So she sat on my side of the bed, I said slowly, and her necklace somehow ended up tangled under the fitted sheet on your side. Mark's eyes flashed. Why are you doing this? Because you're lying, I whispered. He leaned forward, voice turning cold. Or because you want a villain. I felt like I'd stepped into a funhouse where everything was warped and I couldn't trust my own reflection. Then he said it. You should apologize to Jenna. The words hit me harder than any confession could have. Excuse me? I said. You're accusing her of sleeping with your husband, he said, like I was being irrational. She's been nothing but supportive, and you're treating her like trash. She's already feeling insecure, and now you're basically calling her a slut. I actually laughed. It came out sharp and broken. You want me, I said, to apologize. To her. Mark nodded, as if this was the reasonable next step. That's when something in me went very quiet. Not calm, cold. I said, okay. His shoulders loosened, thinking he'd won. Okay, I repeated. I'll apologize. Then I walked into the bathroom and locked the door and vomited. That night, I didn't confront Jenna. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the necklace at their faces. I did something else. I started collecting reality. I checked her phone bill for call logs. Jenna and Mark had been talking on the phone late at night. Not every night, but enough that it made my chest tighten. I checked Mark's location history. It was off. Convenient. I checked his laptop. Password changed. I checked her bedroom trash can and found a receipt for condoms. We didn't use condoms. I sat on the bathroom floor with that receipt and felt like I was watching my life from far away. The next day, Jenna texted me, "Hey babe, are we still on for brunch Sunday?" I stared at my screen until my eyes blurred. Then I replied, "Yeah, can we talk before then?" "Of course, everything okay?" I typed deleted, typed again. "I found your necklace." Three dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, OMG where? I wrote, "In my bed." This time, the dots took longer. Her reply, "What? That's so weird. I must have dropped it when I was over. I'm so sorry." No shock. No, how did that happen? Just quick, slick damage control. My stomach turned. Sunday brunch happened because I wanted to look her in the eye. We met at our usual place. Jenna showed up wearing a sweater that practically screamed innocence, hair in a messy bun, minimal makeup. She hugged me like nothing was wrong. I didn't hug back. When we sat down, she immediately started talking about a TikTok she'd seen, about the waiter's tattoos, about anything except the fact that my life was on fire. Finally, I interrupted. "Jenna," I said. She blinked at me with big doe eyes. "Yeah?" I put the necklace on the table between us. "Tell me the truth," I said. Her smile faltered. "I did. I dropped it. I'm sorry. I feel awful." "The truth," I repeated. Jenna looked around like she wanted an escape route, then she leaned forward and lowered her voice. "Mark told me you were stressed," she whispered. "He said you've been, not yourself." The way she said it, like I was unstable, made my skin crawl. "Did you sleep with him?" I asked. Jenna inhaled sharply and her eyes filled with tears instantly, like she had a switch. "Oh my God," she said. "No, no, I would never do that to you." I watched her cry without feeling anything. "Then why did you wear his hoodie in the morning?" I asked. She sniffed. "Because I was cold," he offered. "Did you sleep in the guest room?" Jenna's eyes flicked away. Just a flick. That was enough. I nodded slowly. "Okay." Her face changed. "Okay?" "Okay," I said again. "I'm going to pay the bill." She reached across the table, grabbing my wrist. "Please don't do this. Don't destroy everything because you're anxious." There it was, anxious, crazy, overreacting. I pulled my hand back. "If you didn't sleep with him," I said calmly, "then you have nothing to worry about." I left her sitting there with her tears and her performance. When I got home, Mark was on the couch. "How was brunch?" he asked brightly. I stood in the doorway, keys still in my hand. "I'm not apologizing to her," I said. His smile dropped. "Are you serious?" he said. "She's been crying all morning. She feels attacked." I stared at him. "She feels attacked." "Yes," he said, frustrated, "because you're accusing her of something disgusting." I swallowed. "And you're more concerned about her feelings than mine." He rubbed his face. "This isn't about feelings. This is about you letting your imagination ruin a friendship." I took a slow breath. "Mark," I said, "I want to see your phone." His eyes narrowed. "Why?" "Because if nothing happened, you have nothing to hide." He stood up. "No, absolutely not." I felt my heartbeat in my teeth. "So you won't show me." "Because it's invasive," he said. "Because you're acting paranoid." I nodded. That was my answer. That night I slept in the guest room. The next morning, I called my older sister and told her everything. I expected her to ask questions. She didn't. She said, "Pack a bag, you can stay here." I said, "I don't have proof." She said, "Honey, you have a necklace in your bed and a husband who's protecting your friend. That is proof." I started crying so hard I couldn't breathe. Over the next week, I did three things. One, I met with a lawyer. Twi, I moved half the money from our joint savings into an account in my name. The lawyer told me what was legal in my state. Three, I stopped arguing. That last one was the hardest because Mark noticed immediately. When you stop fighting, the other person realizes they've lost control. He started love bombing, flowers, takeout, date night. Then when that didn't work, he escalated. He accused me of being cold. He said I was punishing him. He said I was humiliating Jenna. Then one night he snapped. "You're going to lose her," he said, pacing the kitchen. "Do you understand that? You're going to lose your best friend because you can't admit you're wrong." I looked up from the mug I was holding. "Mark," I said, "why are you fighting so hard for her?" He stopped. His face went blank for a second. Then he said, "Because I care about her." I nodded. "More than you care about me." He slammed his hand on the counter. "Stop making it like that." I didn't flinch. I said, "Okay." He glared at me. "Okay, okay," I repeated. That night, after he went to bed, I did something I'm not proud of, but I'm also not sorry for. I logged into our router admin page. Mark had never changed the default password. I checked the device list. Jenna's phone had connected to our Wi-Fi at 1:47 a.m. that night in November. Not 10:30 p.m., not midnight. 1:47 a.m. The guest room is farthest from the router. Our bedroom is closest. My hands went numb. I took screenshots, then I set a trap. The next day I texted Jenna, "Hey, I'm sorry I've been distant. Can you come over tonight? I want to talk." She replied instantly, "Of course, babe. I miss you." I made dinner. I acted normal. I told Mark I needed to run to the pharmacy to pick up something for Pippin. He offered to come. I said no. Then I didn't go to the pharmacy. I parked down the street and watched my own house. Jenna arrived 10 minutes after I left. Mark opened the door before she even knocked. She walked in like she lived there. Through the front window, I saw them hug. Not a quick, friendly hug. A full-body embrace. Her head tucked under his chin, his hand on her lower back. I filmed it on my phone with shaking hands. Then I watched her kiss him. Just once, like she was checking if the coast was clear. And he kissed her back. I sat in my car and made a sound I didn't recognize. When I walked in 20 minutes later, they were in the kitchen. Jenna was perched on the counter. Mark was too close. They startled like teenagers. "Hey," Jenna chirped. "I thought you were at the pharmacy." I smiled. I have never smiled like that in my life. "They were out," I said, "so I came home." Mark looked pale. "Everything okay?" he asked. I set my phone down on the table, screen facing up, and hit play. Their faces on the video. The hug. The kiss. Jenna made a strangled sound. Mark's mouth opened and closed. The room went silent except for the tiny speaker playing the sound of my own breathing. Then Jenna started crying. "Please," she sobbed, "please let me explain." Mark tried to step toward me. "Babe, don't," I said. My voice was calm. It scared me how calm it was. "How long?" I asked. Jenna shook her head. It wasn't." Mark cut in quickly. "It was a mistake." "How?" "Long," I repeated. He swallowed. "A few times." Jenna looked at him like she wanted to kill him. "A few times," I echoed. "Mark tried to grab my hand. We never meant to hurt you." I pulled back. "You did it while I was here." Jenna sobbed harder. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was drunk. I was lonely. Mark said you didn't want him anymore." Mark snapped, "I did not say that." Jenna whipped her head toward him. "You literally did." And there it was. They started turning on each other immediately, because the affair wasn't about love. It was about ego. I looked at Mark. "Remember when you asked me to apologize to her?" I said. His face crumpled. "I was trying to keep things calm." "No," I said. "You were trying to keep me quiet." Mark's eyes filled with tears. "Please, we can fix this." I laughed again, soft this time. "Pack a bag," I said. "Go." He froze. "What?" "Go to your mom's," I said. "Or Jenna's. I don't care, but you're not sleeping here." Jenna made a noise like she'd been punched. "No, don't send him to me." I looked at her. "You don't get to have opinions in my house," I said. She shut up. Mark started pleading. I walked to the hallway closet, pulled out a suitcase, and set it on the floor. "If you don't leave," I said, "I will call my sister and have her come over, and then I will call the police if you refuse to go." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Neither did I. But I meant it. He left. Jenna tried to follow him. I stopped her at the door. "Give me your key," I said. Her eyes widened. I don't have—" "Give me your key," I repeated. Slowly, she pulled it out of her purse. I took it, looked her in the eye, and said, "You are dead to me." She whispered, "I love you." I said, "No, you don't." Then I shut the door. The next day, Mark's mom called me, sobbing. Jenna texted me 16 times. Friends started reaching out asking what happened. I didn't give the long version. I sent one message to our group chat. "Jenna and Mark have been sleeping together. I found proof. Please don't contact me to defend either of them." Half the chat went silent. 2 people messaged me privately. I always wondered. One person asked if I was sure. "That's how you learn who actually sees you." Mark tried to come back a week later with flowers and a speech. He stood on my porch and said, "I'm ready to do whatever it takes." I said, "Great, sign the papers." He blinked. "Papers?" I handed him the divorce filing. He looked at it like it was written in another language. "You're not even gonna try?" he asked. I stared at him. "You slept with my best friend while I was in the next room," I said. "You watched me doubt my sanity. You asked me to apologize. What exactly am I trying to save?" He started crying. I didn't. If you're wondering what happened to Jenna, here's the funniest part. After Mark got kicked out, he went to her. She didn't let him stay. Apparently, she told him, "I didn't sign up for a relationship. I thought this was fun." Fun! That word made me laugh until I cried. Now it's been a few months. The divorce is in progress. My house is quieter. Pippin still looks for Mark sometimes and it punches me in the chest. I still sometimes wake up at 1:47 a.m. and think about the Wi-Fi log like it's a horror movie timestamp. But the cold part of me is grateful. Because it's better to have the truth than a marriage built on gaslighting. And if anyone ever asks me again why I didn't confront them the first night, I have an answer now. I was trying to keep my world intact. but they had already broken it.